Number one, what does confidence mean for you? Because confidence for me means standing on stage and talking to 500 people. Confidence for somebody else might mean showing up in their Instagram stories and posting their face on social media.
Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You were made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so good, and I'm so excited to share that it's because of our sponsor, Executive Help Now. At Executive Help Now, we are all about simplifying your business so you can focus on what matters most. From streamlining operations and managing administrative tasks to producing podcast shows and keeping everything organized. We are here to help you thrive. So if you're ready to make your life just a little bit easier, hit us up at www.executivehelpnow.org. Y'all, our guest today is Kassandra Arsenault. And she is the founder of Connect, and she's your online business bestie. She helps businesses scale through digital marketing, back-end systems, and online business management. With a background in psychology and business, she blends strategy with heart to support solopreneurs and multi-seven-figure companies in growing memberships, masterminds, and more. Y'all put your hands together for Kassandra Arsenault.
Oh my goodness, your energy is just so much fun as always. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I am so excited to have you here on the show today because one of the things I know is so important to every single business owner is marketing. It's finding some way to get their name out there, make people know them, recognize them, want to reach out to them, and buy their services. Yes. And sometimes it can be such a challenge. We feel like such a small fish in this huge pond, and it's hard. It's just hard.
Let's be real. It's just hard sometimes.
It is. And so I'm so excited that you are going to share your expertise with us so we can figure that thing out and figure out how the things that we can do to help us get more visible, become more known, and be at people's top of mind when they think about the services that we have to offer. But before we get started there, tell us a little bit about you and how you got started on this particular journey of founding Connect.
Absolutely. So it was a little bit of a roundabout experience. I went to university after high school and thought I was going to be a psychologist. That was the route I had gone in. I was like, I'm going to be a therapist. I'm going to help all these people. And that was my plan. And in my second year of university, I took an elective class, and my goal was to take classes on topics that I didn't really know anything about. And so I had taken a business management elective. And so my family, traditional 9-to-5ers, like there are no entrepreneurs to be seen in my world. And so I took this class. I learned so much, and I felt so lit up by what was happening and how I felt in the class. And I was like, there's something here. I've got to explore this a little bit more. And so I finished my undergrad and turned into business marketing. And so I went and did a bunch of years of school to focus in on business marketing, and then even more so on digital marketing. And so once I was done everything, I thought, now what? What do I do with all of this knowledge and, information? And I had taken an internship and loved being able to support a local business. I loved being able to sit down with them and really strategize and get my hands inside of their business and then see what I was doing actually make a difference inside of their company. And so from there, I was encouraged to, maybe start my own business and help other people do this. And initially I thought, yeah, okay, I don't really know anything about doing that, but yeah, sure, I'll try it out. And so that is what I did. I opened up Connect 5 years ago and have been helping business owners now across the world expand their businesses and show up online more confidently and connected.
Wow, that is so fantastic. That deserves celebrating. If we got some hand claps, that deserves celebrating because that is quite an accomplishment. Yes, that is quite an accomplishment for you to take a seed that gets planted. Somebody just put a bug in your ear and said, hey, you ever thought about doing this? And then you actually followed through and took them up on that idea. I can relate to that so well because before I became a business owner, someone said to me, you're supposed to own your own business, right? And I was like, no, I'm not.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. So I can totally relate to that. And so kudos to you for going, taking that little idea and creating this amazing company now 5 years later, being global. I'm so excited and happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been quite a journey.
Well, we'll have to share stories in the green room later. So, Kassandra, how would you say that your background in psychology and business has shaped the way that you support entrepreneurs?
Yes. So at the end of the day, business owner, we are all humans. We all are humans. And, I think that the psychology piece allowed me to really understand that human behavior side of things and the motivations and how our brains work and how we show up in the world. So we all have life experiences behind us, right? We didn't become an entrepreneur and we were born that day, right? We all have these experiences and these life things that have happened to us, and that is what's led us to this journey. And so when I thought about, this is a common question, psychology and business, they do really go coincide together and they really connect with one another because it allows me to understand, where people are coming from. It gives me that human, that empathy side of things. And also, how can we use their experiences and connect with their audience and their clients? And how can we honor what they're showing up into the world as and bring that into their business? I am a huge believer that we are all unique people, right? We all have our own lives. Some people love talking and doing videos and doing things like this. And some people would hide in the closet before they got on a podcast. And so rather than forcing that person to come out of the closet, you must do this, let's meet them where they're at and learn more about where they are and use their strengths in their business and in their marketing to get their message out there. And so I think the psychology piece has really allowed me to understand the human behavior aspect and align with my clients on where they're at and how do we meet their goals? When do we push them and when do we allow them to be themselves? And yeah, it's been a really interesting journey, both from my client facing, but also now watching their clients show up in the world and interact with them.
Wow, that is so great. And what a privilege and an honor to be a part of someone's journey and watching them flourish and grow from the person that they met when they initially called you to now being this completely different person, showing up so much more confidently because of the way that you have coached them and worked with them and helped them to create this presence that they didn't even know they had.
So yes. We worked through a lot. We worked through a lot of imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome is so real as a business owner, when especially when you start to see some level of success, you start to think, well, is this really for me? Am I really supposed to be the one doing these things or saying these words or having these experiences, And so it is really a challenge. It is such a real thing. And so I am glad that there are people like you out there to help coach entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and all the business owners through these things that inevitably happen when you're new in a space and you're spreading your wings for the first time. So, as we discuss personal branding, I know that that's important in marketing. And so we want to build authentic brands. Why is authenticity so important when building a personal brand?
Yes. So authenticity is really important because it builds that trust and relatability, right? Like we said just a few moments ago, we're all humans. And so when we can see ourselves inside of your business, when we can see ourselves inside of your brand, suddenly that builds that trust, that builds that relatability with the company. And we want to be a part of that movement in some way anyway. If you think of large brands such as Coca-Cola, they came out with a campaign a while back where it was this essence of connection, right? And they wanted to build this connection. So what did they do? They started putting names on their Coke bottles. And now everybody in the store is looking for their name and buying a Coke for their friend whose name's Susie because they saw it. It's building this connection and this trust with the brand. And so I think when we show up authentically in our businesses and in our brands, we're able to connect with people much quicker. And it allows us to just be different from everybody else, right? We are who we are. We have experiences, we have life, we have personalities, we have things that drive us, our values. All of that is going to be different from each other. And so while there are other coaches, there are other, social media managers, website designers, podcast hosts, there are lots of us out there. And who makes you, what makes you move forward in life? And that is what actually drives you and is different than your competitors. So when you're able to come back and say, this is who I am, this is how I show up in the world, and be really confident and solid in that, that is what's going to make you different. And that is what's going to drive you forward in your business. It doesn't always take the perfectly polished, beautiful graphics and the business to be all sorted and organized. If you just show up as the human being that you really are behind the scenes, sometimes that's all people need to be able to build that trust and feel really connected to you and your mission.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And I love the reference to the soft drink and having the name put on it. I mean, because that's such a recognizable brand. Like no matter where you go in the world, you know what you're going to get. And to build that relatability and that community just by being the authentic you, being yourself, that's the best way to build because it's not forced. It just comes easy. So when something is not forced and just comes easy, you're more likely to continue doing it because it's just who you are. And you're more likely to have a consistent message. And that consistency too, I believe, is so important when you're building your brand and being authentic and presenting who you are and the value you add to other people. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think as you change, as your life changes, as your business changes, it's okay to have that ebb and flow. But like you said, as long as you're staying true to who you are, that is going to stay consistent. That is going to flow out of you. And when things flow out of you more naturally, people connect to you. If you sit here, I can tell when people don't like to be on video. Like I can see it right away, right? They're uncomfortable, they're agitated, they're like, I don't know what to say. But when you're comfortable and when you're here, it's like, okay, I can see your energy behind it. And so find things in your life, in your business that give you that energy and just show up in that way. It doesn't have to look the same as everybody else.
Yeah, so true. So true. And you just answered my next question, which was, some different ways that entrepreneurs can show up more authentically, like on social media. Is there a difference yet there?
I think sharing your personal stories. I'm not saying you have to open up your diary and, preach to everybody, but I definitely think there's elements to your life that you can share on social media that aren't your typical business day, right? So my boyfriend has been getting into the cappuccino thing lately, the espresso, and so we've been making latte art, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun because it's creative for me. I'm going to try something new. I know nothing about coffee. I was not a coffee drinker before this, and so we've been making latte art, and sometimes it comes out as a blob, and sometimes it comes out as kind of a half flower. And, this is the experience we're having. And I'm sharing this on social media, kind of almost every morning and or frequently. I just had a client text me and say, hey, you've inspired me. Here's my blob this morning. And it looked like a little bunny rabbit. And so we giggled about it, but it allowed people to connect with me on something that I'm just moving through and having fun with. It has nothing to do with my business, but now I've connected with people in a different way. And so much so that they've texted me. They haven't just reacted to my Instagram story. They've actually reached out and made a point to share their story with me. And so I think sharing those personal stories, as much as you might think they have nothing to do with business, again, it's that human connection. Bring it back to we're all just people. When you can show up authentically as yourself, use your real voice. This is who I am. When I get on a coaching call, yeah, okay, this is how I speak. When I get on social media, it's the same way. I don't put up a professional facade that I'm this expert and I have to have all these things. Sometimes I don't know the words and I leave that video exactly how it is because it shows people that even somebody who's seemingly confident and seemingly knows how to create video and do all these things also messes up. Great. Now I feel validated that it's okay if I do that too.
Right, exactly. And nobody has to be perfect and you're still awesome.
Exactly.
So in terms of strategy, when we think of our marketing strategy, how can solopreneurs use email marketing to build deeper connections?
Ooh, great one. Because I think a lot of us think when we think marketing, especially nowadays, we go to social media, right? We push the social media. But a slept on version of that is email marketing. And the reason why I say that is because when we use email marketing, we're able, like you said, to build those deeper connections because those are the people that already trust you, right? If they're handing over their email in whatever capacity, they're like, okay, I know you. I want to know more. I want to be a part of whatever it is that you're building. And so when you show up on your email, you want to make sure a few different things come into place. So again, this brand voice. How are you showing up on your website versus your podcast versus your Instagram versus your LinkedIn? Where is your brand voice? A lot of people, personally, I like to write like I speak. So I have, short sentences. Sometimes I put swear words in my emails. I have this personal style that I like to write in. And so that to me feels very natural. It never feels forced. And so I can punch out a bunch of emails fairly quickly because it's just me kind of like journaling almost. So write like you talk, bring in that real brand voice of yourself, and then also take a look at your audience. So on social media, it's very broad, right? We have a conversation, but it's very kind of hit and miss, right? Whereas emails, you can get really segmented and you can use, tags and segmentations to build your audience in the right direction. So for myself, I have local workshops that I host. And when I do that, I don't send out an email invite to my entire list because I have people that live all over the world. And so it wouldn't make sense for me to promote this event all over the world if it's happening locally, if they're not flying in for a coffee chat. So, I mean, if they do, that's amazing, but very rare that would happen. So you can segment your audience and be able to really talk to those people directly rather than it feeling like, oh, I just sent an email to, 1,200 people and hope somebody reads it. It can really get very specific and allow you to create those deeper connections really quickly. And then once that audience is warm, which happens often way quicker than social media, then the sales come really naturally for people. So you want to put the value first. They say, I think like every 3 emails is value, and then that 4th one you're selling in. But those 3 emails that are sharing value, that last one, when you sell to them, often has a higher conversion rate because those people are so warm and comfortable with you already. They already are really a close audience to you.
Wow, that is really great. And that leads really great. It's an awesome segue into my next question. about advice you would give to create a simple funnel strategy for business owners to get started with. Because when people hear the word funnels and they're like, oh, automatically eyes glass over and they're like, oh no, oh no. So it's intimidating. So what is one simple funnel strategy that every business owner should have in place?
Yes. Okay. Like you said, people hear funnel and it's just stressful. It's just stress. So
Completely,
something
100%. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, yes. Something really simple is, in all areas, we have leads, we want to nurture the leads, and then we want to provide them with an offer. So that can look different ways for every business, but basically you want to attract people in, right? So whether it's on social media, your email list, you're pulling people into your world, right? Top of the funnel, we're pulling people closer to us. So when we talk about email, we're talking about those leads, we're attracting them in. What does that look like? Oftentimes you're going to see freebies, PDFs, workshops, experiences. One of my favorite ones is quizzes. That is a really simple lead magnet that people don't use often because they're a little more complex to build when you actually have to think about it. But they are super effective because everybody wants to know what friend's character they are, right? Or everybody wants to know what type of entrepreneur they are. So they can be really fun to build and really exciting for your audience. And it's a good, attractive spot for you. So the leads come in, you've attracted the leads, they've signed up for your email list. They've handed over their email for something that you've provided them. When you put that out there, you put it on social media, on your website, in your email, on your podcast, whatever it is. So you're catching the net wide, you're bringing people in. So you attract them into your world. From there, you want to nurture them. This is where that build trust piece comes in. So you want to send them a welcome email. So when they sign up for X, Y, and Z, you're going to send them a welcome email, introducing yourself, telling them more about who you are, your business, what you're doing, that kind of thing. We're not selling them. We're just saying, hey, so good to have you here. Here's what's going on. Here's what to expect. This could also be something like you're giving them extra tips. You're giving them some stories behind the scenes, whatever you want that to be. Make sure it feels authentic to you. But we've captured them. They've come into your world. Now we're going to introduce them to your world and just give them the lay of the land, walk them around a little bit. And then once you've kind of built out a few of those emails that are more about nurturing and building the trust, giving them tips and tricks, showing them, that's where you want to then, convert, give them that offer. So we've led them, we've nurtured them. Now we want to present our offer. And so that can look very clear and concise. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out email. It can be something fairly simple because the nurture stage is where you've built out those longer emails, those more connected emails. And then when you're building that offer email, it can be something simple. Like, have you felt, if you're reading my emails, you know that I've struggled with entrepreneurship those first few years, and I don't want to see you struggle with that. Here's what I'm offering to help you move through that process. So lead, nurture, offer. That's really what all funnels come down to. It can get very complex. We can draw mind maps. We can get out the board and really go through it. But when it really comes down to it, that's what it's focused on. So you can build, a 5-step process that lead. What's the lead magnet? What are you sending out to people? When they sign up for the lead magnet, what nurture emails are you sending them? Usually the lead magnet. So you want to send them the PDF or the workshop or whatever it is. You want to send them a welcome, give them the lay of the land, and then maybe some tips and tricks. Then that last one is that offer. And so at the end of the day, you can have maybe 5 emails that build a really effective funnel, and it doesn't have to be overly complicated.
Wow. We need some more hand claps. I'm sorry. That was just brilliant. That was so good. I just love that so much. And I can totally love the way you broke that down, Kassandra. Thank you so much. So now I have questions.
Yes, bring it on.
So in this whole marketing strategy for building the funnel, what should the timeline be from the initial email to bring them in to the final offer? Is there a standard time, like number of days or number of weeks, or how should this process take 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So it really depends on your audience. And that's where you have to get to know your target audience, right? We talk a lot about that on social media. And then, you play around with what time do I post and when do I post? But if you think about your
Right.
audience, who are they? Are they busy moms who don't want to open 500 emails a day? Are they people who work behind a desk? Are they somebody like when you think about the timing of your emails? When are they sitting behind their desk opening emails? Probably first thing of the workday and probably at lunchtime and or just after lunch when they're like bored and done with work and they just want to get through the day. So think
Mhm.
about your target audience because there are going to be audiences that are right there. The people that are using platforms like X, they are people that want information faster than you can even think of the information, right? And
Right.
so if that is your audience that's really hyper, they're really motivated, they're really on it, great. You can move through that nurture sequence in a week and they will buy at the end of that week and they're ready to go. If you're someone who's like, okay, you know what? If I received all those emails, I would be overwhelmed. So what am I going to do to adjust? But also if my audience is a little more they're just a little bit slower to run to the finish line. They're a little bit more thoughtful in how they purchase things. This is where that comes in. And so if you're like, you know what, my audience is a little bit slower, you can lead this out a couple weeks. It should never, these types of things should never take 6 months unless you're, again, this offer that you're offering them is a high ticket offer, right? If they're about to spend thousands and thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars on this offer, it might take a little longer to nurture that, right? But
Mhm.
if it's a few $100s or if it's something that has high value or if it's something that's happening in the next few weeks, like let's say you're offering a workshop or a retreat or a mastermind or whatever it is, if there's a time limit on that, you also have to take that into consideration. So there isn't really a rhyme or reason behind how long that nurture sequence can really take, but think about who you are as a person. Think about how you open emails and how you show up, and also think about your audience and what they do. So, if you notice, and this is where you do that little experimentation, if you notice that you've built up this nurture sequence and your open rates are really low, what do we adjust? If you notice your open rates are really good and then when you drop the offer they die out, what can we adjust? That's where you
Mhm.
play with things. At the end of the day, it is really some trial and error and just understanding what lands with people and where you've missed the boat and then adjusting your sales and keep going.
Right, right. So that hearing you say that about what's working, what needs to be adjusted, and the whole lead nurture offer strategy, which I absolutely love, and I think we should pop that up there so people can know at a glance these are the steps that you need to take. What are ads included in this as well, or where do ads come into play? I know we didn't really discuss that a whole lot, but is that a part of the program?
Yeah. So that initial spot where we're getting leads in, that is a perfect spot for ads. So with that lead magnet coming in, we want to have as many people as possible being attracted to that lead magnet. So if you have a workshop that you're going to host, that is a perfect opportunity to if you want, depends on your style, depends on your budget, depends on your audience. But if you're like, okay, I really want to blow this thing wide open. I want to have as many people as possible in this workshop. That's where you would put the ad in. So you want to get as many people into that space and to sign up for the workshop. So then they're exchanging their email. So you're grabbing their email. And then from there, that's where you build that nurture piece out. So I think the most important spot if you wanted to do ads would be at that lead stage so that you're getting as many people into the room as possible so that when you pitch to 100 people and 20% or 5% of those people convert, you have a wider net versus if you had 10 people in the room, if you're pitching to 5% or if 5% convert, that's going to be a lot less than if 5% convert on 100 people.
Right, I got you. Right, that makes perfect sense. So then, say a business owner has some fear and trepidation about showing up in social media. How can they build their confidence to show up online?
Oh, I love this question and something that I work through quite frequently with myself and with others. Few different things here. So we need to dive deeper into that confidence piece on
Hmm.
two angles. Number one, what does confidence mean for you? Because confidence for me means standing on stage and talking to 500 people. Confidence for somebody else might mean showing up in their Instagram stories and posting their face on social media. So confidence is a scale. Confidence has different pieces, and you get to decide what that is for you. And everybody's at a different level of that. And you don't have to stand up on stage if you're not ready to post a picture of yourself on social media, right? So where is that confidence laying? And then where are your doubts behind the confidence? Because oftentimes it's not just, okay, well, I can get more confident, and if I practice, it will work. Yeah, of course. But what is happening behind the scenes here? Why do you feel that you can't show up in these ways? A lot of times it comes down to, again, that imposter syndrome. Who am I to do these things? Is anybody going to listen to me? What if people judge me? What if my friends see it? You know, that is a big one. A lot of people are like, but what if my family sees it? And it's so funny because we show up in the world, we show up to our family gatherings and we're like, hey, how's it going? What's going on in your week? Right. But then when it comes to business, we're like, oh, I don't want them to see these things. I don't want them to see this part of me. So we really need to understand deeper down what this confidence piece is, what confidence means to you, and where are the doubts and fears coming from. From there, once we kind of understand, we have our footing, we have our groundwork. I'm going to be the person that says it comes down to practice. It comes down to exposure. And I'm not saying throw you into the deep end and hope you swim. I'm saying, okay, if you're nervous about showing up on video on social media, great. Okay, let's show up in your stories and post a photo of you and whatever you're doing today. It's recording a podcast, take a quick snapshot, post it on your stories. It's gone in 24 hours. It will, you know, nobody's going to remember it. If you're someone who's like, I want to speak more. I want to get more comfortable with Instagram reels or YouTube videos. I really have a call to that, but I'm not that person. Okay, well, let's think about it. Start talking to yourself. The one thing that most people say when they hear it back, they're like, I hate the sound of my voice. I hate it. And there's a scientific reason why you don't like the sound of your voice, but also start speaking. When you talk to yourself, I do this all the time. I talk to myself around the house. Like I will narrate. If there was a talk show, my whole life is a talk show. And the reason why I do that is so that my brain can keep up with my thoughts really quickly. So when we're doing a podcast, when you ask me a question, when there's something that, you know, kind of is pulled out of seemingly thin air, my brain can keep up with it and I can continue to talk and make sense and feel comfortable in that conversation rather than when something odd happens or you ask me a question or it throws me off my script, quote unquote, all of a sudden I don't know how to speak. So when I film Instagram reels, when I film stuff like this, a lot of times I don't have a script because I have the idea in my head. I know what I want to say. And now I'm just practicing speaking those words out loud. So the confidence thing, I think, comes down to what does confidence mean to you and what is blocking you from that confidence? And then how do you practice that? And understanding that it's never going to be perfect. You're always going to mess up, but just focusing on being better every day.
Right. Oh, those are gems. Those are golden nuggets of wisdom that you are sharing. Thank you so much. Because I love how you said what confidence looks like is so different for every single person. And when we really get to the root and do that introspection of figuring out, why am I afraid? What is causing this fear? What is causing this lack of confidence? Do I not feel like I'm worthy of good things? You know, do I? And if so, why? What's the root of that?
Right. Who told me that? Who told me I'm not good enough?
Right, exactly. We got to peel back the layers of the onion to get truly to the root of what is causing this fear that keeps us from showing up confidently in social media, because it is so important. You are the face of your business. And people need to know who you are as a part of that know, like, and trust process. And this is your way of letting them in. And like you said, you don't have to reveal your deepest, darkest secrets, but you just want to show up as your regular, authentic self so that people can know who you are, who they're doing business with. And this kind of opens that door for them. So for one tip for growing a genuine community on social media, what would be the biggest, most effective thing that a person can do today to make a difference in their social media community?
I think encouraging conversations. Social media is meant to be social. We are social creatures by nature, right? When you put somebody in isolation, you see what happens. And so let's reverse that. Let's encourage conversation, whether it's a call to action at the end of your social media post, or you're getting up in your stories and you're putting up a poll to say, what type of coffee did you make this morning? Are you a coffee drinker? Are you tea? Are you water girly? Like, what's happening there? This encourages people to feel connected to you and to feel like they matter outside of just a sale. They are not just a number to you. They're not just a number to your business. And so even though you have, your email list and your podcast listeners and your social media followers, they're all still individual people. And so how do you connect with them? I think it's really just about building that conversation piece, because when people feel like you actually know and care about them as a genuine human being, they start to build that community for you. They start to say, hey, Kassandra did this and that, and she made me feel really seen and heard. Or I just had a conversation with so-and-so, and she also said that. That's so interesting that we're having that conversation, right? So I think just encouraging conversations in whatever way you can on social media, in your marketing, in your just life, will help create a community that is connected to you and also shouting your name from the rooftops.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Great advice. So, Kassandra, how can people stay in touch with you and learn more and maybe take that deeper dive and peeling back the layers of that onion with you so that they can get better at digital marketing and just showing up more confidently?
Absolutely. So all my links, I'm sure, will be linked where they need to be, but my website is letsconnect.ca. And so you can connect with me there. All my socials are on there as well. And I love having conversations. So bring it on.
I love it. Your website is beautiful. I absolutely love the grays, your Instagram. And we have all of this. If y'all are just listening in the audio only style, you're missing out on these really great images in this video, because this LinkedIn page, Facebook page, all of the pages are just stunning.
We have a lot of fun on social media. I love when people send me messages and ask me questions and just like open up conversation. I am the person that is ready to send you a 2-minute voice memo and we're going to dive deep. So please feel free.
That is so fantastic. Well, Kassandra, thank you so much for all of this wisdom and knowledge that you have shared with our audience today. You were made for something great. So go and be awesome.
Thank you so much, Renee.